For years, she was one of the quieter Windsors, the princess who stayed in the background while her cousins shouldered the glare of the crown. But now, Princess EUGENIE has stepped into the light, and not for glittering galas or royal banquets, but for something darker, more human, and infinitely more urgent. Behind the polished smile of a royal mother, an art world professional, EUGENIE is waging a campaign against an invisible empire of suffering, one built on exploitation, silence, and modern-day slavery. Just days ago, the British-based charity Arts Work announced a new chapter in its mission, and a new face to lead it. We are thrilled to announce that Her Royal Highness Princess EUGENIE has become our new patron, the organization declared on October 3rd. The words might have sounded routine, but the subtext was anything but. For those who have followed EUGENIE's journey, from a schoolgirl recovering from scoliosis surgery to a global advocate against trafficking, this was another sign that she is transforming into the most quietly radical royal of her generation. Unlike many born into privilege, EUGENIE has spent her adulthood confronting the hidden side of beauty, the cost of the world's desire for glamour. She co-founded the Anti-Slavery Collective, a platform exposing modern human trafficking networks that stretch across fashion, agriculture, and technology. And now, as patron of Arts Work, she is connecting two worlds that rarely meet, the creative industries that define culture, and the voiceless young people who are locked out of them. In the carefully composed photos released with the announcement, EUGENIE doesn't pose as a distant dignitary. She leans forward as she listens to volunteers, her hands clasped, her expression grave and intent. Arts Work, the charity she now represents, exists to give those without opportunity a way in, to empower young people to create, to lead, and to make change. It's a mission that echoes her own personal transformation. The palace once defined her by lineage. Now, she is defining herself by cause. Her new role comes at a time when her voice has never been more relevant. Just weeks earlier, EUGENIE was in New York, walking through conference halls rather than red carpets, standing beside her co-founders from the Anti-Slavery Collective, as they launched a campaign that shook the luxury industry to its core. Hidden Threads, Fake Fashion, a Human Rights Scandal. The title itself sounded like something out of a thriller, but the numbers behind it were horrifyingly real. Half of Europe's young consumers now see no harm in buying counterfeit goods. But behind the glossy copies and cheap imitations lies a darker truth: children and adults forced into labor, invisible hands sewing labels that mimic the dreams of the West. The campaign revealed that more than 218 million children around the world are working full-time, and that 70% of them are victims of child labor. EUGENIE's voice cut through the statistics with rare clarity. It's easy to see fake fashion as a victimless crime, she told Hello. But this is far from the reality. The people making, distributing, and selling these items are too often victims of coercion or exploitation. We want people to pause and think about where their fakes come from and how they were made, because only then can we start to change the demand that fuels this exploitation. There was something haunting about her words. Coming from someone who grew up surrounded by the ultimate symbols of status, designer gowns, royal jewels, tiaras passed down through centuries, it felt like a confession and a challenge. EUGENIE was not just calling for ethical change. She was pointing to the hypocrisy at the heart of luxury itself. She was using her title to expose the world that once defined it. And yet, even as she steps into activism, EUGENIE remains a Windsor in her own way, practical, loyal, and surprisingly grounded. Away from the spotlight, she works full-time as a director at Hauser and Wirth, one of London's most prestigious art galleries. Those who know her describe her as a bridge between two worlds, the palace and the people, the gallery and the street. Her life may seem gilded, but her causes are anything but. She is also, by all accounts, deeply connected to her family, the daughter of the Duke of York and Sarah, Duchess of York, a woman who has faced her own share of storms. EUGENIE's warmth toward her mother has never wavered, even as Sarah's name continues to resurface in headlines for all the wrong reasons. In contrast, EUGENIE's quiet dignity has become one of the monarchy's few uncontested virtues. In an age when scandal sells, she has chosen substance over spectacle. Her patronages reflect that same balance between elegance and empathy. Beyond art's work and the anti-slavery collective, she supports Horatio's Garden, a charity born of her own experience with spinal surgery, and the Royal National Orthopaedic Hospital, where she once recovered. Every visit, every speech, seems to carry the same unspoken message: resilience, not privilege, is the truest mark of royalty. Observers have noted that while EUGENIE's cousins, William and Harry, dominate headlines with political and personal drama, she and her sister Beatrice have quietly carved out a modern model of royal life, one that feels less performative, more human. There are no Netflix deals, no best-selling memoirs, no palace briefings. Instead, there's work, hands-on, unglamorous, and far removed from the marble corridors of Buckingham Palace. Her latest appointment with art's work may not shake tabloids the way a royal feud does, but within the ecosystem of the modern monarchy, it's a subtle revolution. It signals that the younger generation of royals are looking beyond the crown, toward causes that define conscience rather than ceremony. It's not about waving from balconies, but about showing up in classrooms, rehabilitation centers, and creative hubs where voices too often go unheard. For EUGENIE, this is not a new transformation, but the culmination of years spent turning personal empathy into public action. She has spoken openly about motherhood changing her perspective, about wanting her sons, August and Ernest, to inherit not just a title, but a world that is kinder and more just. It's why her causes often revolve around children, protecting them, uplifting them, giving them agency. In her world, every initiative, whether against slavery or for the arts, leads back to that same moral center, the belief that every child deserves a life free of exploitation and full of possibility. The timing of this new role couldn't be more symbolic. While the monarchy faces turbulence, scandals, estrangements, and the health struggles of its senior members, EUGENIE's ascent as a patron of creative empowerment feels like an antidote. A royal whose purpose is not to restore glamour, but to restore faith. In her, we glimpse what the next chapter of monarchy might look like: quieter, more purposeful, less about grandeur and more about grace. The kind that doesn't need a throne to command respect. Perhaps that's why her supporters, both inside and outside the palace, call her the people's artist, not because she paints or sculpts, but because she is shaping something far more enduring: the moral canvas of modern royalty. This event gives us much to reflect on, not just about one princess's new title, but about the evolving soul of the British crown. In an era obsessed with image, Princess EUGENIE is fighting for something invisible: dignity, compassion, and the chance for every voice to be heard. And that may turn out to be the most radical royal act of all.